Okay, it says we're live. So turn on the torch, light up the flame. Time to melt some glass, my friends. Let's put it on the other angle so you can see who I am and what I'm doing, right? Right. Webcam. There I am. Hello, everybody. It's good to see that there may be a few. Well, let me get also, I've got to click over. I've got it in the chat room, but there I am live. Uh, so if you show up and type something in there, I can see it in front of my face. And with that, without further ado, I noticed just recently that one of my biggest click and views is a glass mouthpiece that I did. It was only like a two minute video, but it's gotten a lot of views. So wouldn't hurt to do another one, right? Well, um, and maybe even take a request at the same time. This isn't going to be a long show, probably about 15, 20 minutes tops. So hello, Paula. Nice to see you. Um, well, it's nice for you to see me, I guess. I don't see. You get the point. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just turn on the camera view here and go from there. And let's get into making a glass blow hose for your blow blow hose. In other words, a glass mouthpiece. It's going to look very similar to this one. Um, the difference is uh, it goes up and then goes down, and what that does is sort of like gives you sort of like a counterbalance, so it's not really pulling on your mouth as much. It's weird, but it does work that way. So it goes straight down instead of pulling forward. Anyway, let's try and get the flame going here. Okay, there we are. I won't need but one. I was playing. I actually did another piping hot glass video on my other channel, which is down below. There we go, down below the address to my other channel. And that's the first time I did a video in that channel, on that channel, in about a very, very long time. And I made a commitment to try to do a few more so that I can continue with that. Let's just put it that way. Now, what I'm going to do here is this tubing is probably soft glass. I used to work neon signs, and one of the things that they use is this, I think it's like 4 mil or 5 mil tubing, um, and they use it for connecting neon signs to what's called the bombarder, which makes the machine, or makes the thing suck out and put the right, heat up, and put the right gases in the sign. Anyway, neither here nor there. So this might be soft glass, and if it is, it's going to be a little bit quicker going, but it's still the same idea. You heat up just the tip, and it is soft glass. I can tell just by the way it's looking. That's actually leaded glass. But yeah, you wouldn't have to worry about it leaching out in your mouth. Come on now. Same idea. What I do is I heat and I flare it out to make a nice something that your teeth can sort of grip onto without too much trouble. Okay. Then I'm also going to take requests, Paula, so don't feel like this is the only part of the show. But if you have an idea or request that you'd like to see me do after this, let's go for it, huh? Okay, then you heat up, and of course you make the regular L bend that everybody puts in the mouthpieces, or that they finally, if they want to do a glass mouthpiece, they'll do. And that's what everybody else does, which is a nice L bend. Like so. But here's where the trick comes in. You now go ahead and heat up a little bit further down and create a U bend. And the U again, it changes the direction, and uh, it will not. It will help that you won't drip as much saliva. Yes, there's going to be saliva going into your mouthpiece, no matter what you do. But this will deter it from dribbling out of your mouth and into your mouthpiece. This because the air is going upwards instead of downward to begin with. Anyway, then you again heat and bend it. Boom. There's one. I'm going to do one more, but this time I'm going to start with a thicker piece of tubing and narrow it down just because I can, right? Now what I've got here is 9 heavy wall, and that's if you don't have, thinner tubing available, and a lot of people don't. They have the bigger stuff, and what you would do is turn around. Oops, what went wrong? It says it must have been a fluctuation in the deal, but I'm still there. Okay, never mind. Never mind. Okay. Now, I'm going to put like a cold weld at the end of this tube, and now what I'm going to do is heat and pull and narrow it down, but not constrict it to where it's not working for you. Okay? And it's just a matter of pulling evenly. Learning this technique is a good thing to do. Learning to thin out some tubing if you had to, or thin out some rod if you had to, instead of going with what you had and you needed something smaller and you don't have it handy. Okay. This should be enough for what I want to do. Okay. Now, since that's already flared, I'm going to tap that off. Of course, it's not going to come off, is it? Oh, there it went. Since this is already flared, we're going to make this the mouthpiece end. Okay. Now, if anybody has a request they'd like to see me do after I do this little mouthpiece thing, just type it in the chat room and I'll see what I can do about doing it. Okay, we're going to, again, this is where it would go into your mouth. And if you just want to make a regular mouthpiece, because sometimes those plastic ones, after a while, don't grip in your mouth very well or whatever. I don't know. It just sort of, that's why I went into making these like this. My own darn fault, I guess. And you let it flow and you let gravity work with you. There we go. And again, if you just want to do a regular mouthpiece, there it goes. But again, what's going to happen is that the saliva will drip, 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 drip right out of your mouth and into the hole and keep going. But if it goes up and then goes down, it won't, saliva goes with gravity. If it's going up first and then going down, it's not going to dribble in there as bad. But because you're going to be puffing in there and blowing, the saliva is going to go in there no matter what you do. But just not as bad. Okay. Almost done with this one. Whoa, that had some. There we go. And that one's done. Any requests that you'd like to see me do now that I've finished those? And again, these mouthpieces really do come in handy in situations where. Now let me show you. I'm going to go to the other camera. Like when you're blowing to do something, usually when it's just the right angle one, it sort of. But with that, and the hose holding it up. Let me show you too. the hose puts another dynamic in there. Instead of yanking down on you, it somehow your mouth becomes a pivot point instead of, and it does a better deal for holding on to it, so that you can blow evenly and steadily and just close around it, and there's your mouthpiece. I don't know why it seems to be flashing out and flashing back on, but we're okay, I guess. Maybe my own. And now, any request? Actually, if we don't have a request, I guess I can go on from there, right? Back to Christmas ornaments. Icicle, I guess I can do. And then that'll do that for this show. I told you it wasn't going to be very long. But again, if you have a request, now's the time. I could come up with something. I don't know how I come up with that idea with that blow hose, but it was a good idea when it came across. And again, it just bounces better in your mouth, and it doesn't pull on your mouth. It just gives you a better direction to go in. Anyway, now um, let's go back to the other angle. All right, I've come up with an idea. And one of the things I've done lately is, and everybody's going to probably turn off from here, but my buttons. Now, first, I'm not going to really do much to these buttons, but I'm going to actually put some, yeah, why not? Make it glow in the dark. Put Illuminati to a button, right? So what you do is just the way I always do it. And this is going to be this button is actually going to go on a shirt, and I will show you what it does after the fact. Okay? Okay. Okay. Now the Illuminati is going to be some interesting swirl colors, a swirl going on. And it's going to, look clear until you get under a nice black light somewhere. And I will get there. Try making a dichro stringers. I can do that too. Since I'm here, I've got a little bit of time. We can work that. You'll have a lot of fun with it. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and nip it off. This is going to be a couple of buttons. I actually think so. It's just so thick and big. So I'm going to stretch it out and make it into two instead of one round. But we'll flatten it out first. And then nip it in half. And here we go. Flatten it. Flatten it some more. Thin it out slightly. Nip it in half. This is two buttons morphing, one button morphing into two. There we go. There we go. Flatten it a little bit. Round it a little bit. Let it shrink down a little bit too. It's a little bit big, but that's okay. Hi, Brian. Nice to see you out there watching. Okay. Now the buttonholes. Again, I'm using my buttonhole punch. I'm only going to do two buttonhole button here. because I can. There's one hole, looking good. And then the other one. Looking good too. Ream it out a little bit. And we have one 2-hole button. Tap it off. Of course, it's not going to come off easy. Pull it off. Attach it there and make this a little bit rounder. Okay. And I'll put that in the oven in a little bit, but I do have an oven handy and I am going to put it in there. Also, let's go back to where it is, this one. I'm going to take the scoring knife and score it off. And again, it doesn't have to be very long, just so long as it goes in the opposite direction and then down. It works out real well. You'll see because the rest of the hose makes itself stable. Okay, now, diachroic stringer. Let's do it. Not going to be long, not going to be pretty, but it's going to be a diachroic stringer. And I got to again have to call it quits. I have to go to work again tonight. One of these days. Again, I've never been a great business manager, great artist, great teacher. That's why I'm doing these shows for you guys. Just not one to making money. I did. Glass pipe piece. I did. I finished it. The glass pipe piece. Yes, I did. I did it on the Piping Hot channel. That was earlier today, I guess. Unless you're talking about something else, something on the table, maybe. Anyway, this is going to be interesting. This diachroic stringer is going to be. I wouldn't say an aha moment for me, but it worked out real well when I finally figured it out. Let's get some dichro. Of course, none of it's handy at the moment, Andy. I have several pieces available. Oh, here we go. We'll use a piece like this. Okay, nip it off into a smaller chunk. And even a smaller chunk. And that should about do it. Again, you put the surface side up. And I got to widen the Maria on this thing so that it will cover the dichro. That'll work. And press it in. Heat it up a little bit on the backside. Press that in. And now we layer it. I'm going to layer some colored glass behind it. And you've seen me do this many a time like this, but this is where it's going to become a stringer instead of just a disc. If I do this right. If I don't do it right, it'll look like a big mess, right? Right. Okay. Now, heat this in and press it down. And we're going to try to heat and pull out the other side here a little bit before I nip it out. There we go. Nip it off a little bit. Oops. Supposed to hold on to it, but it didn't happen. That's okay. Now, hopefully I'll get my point across. You'll see what I mean in just a second. Where you see the color on the bottom here is actually going to become the inside center of this rod. It's a matter of bolting and pointing it in the right direction. And that's where the graphite rod will come in. And you got to get it heated just right too. My smallest hole there, and I'm going to go ahead and punch. And now I'm going to more or less try to tweeze and collapse the sides around it. Needs a little bit of nudging in the right direction. There we go. It's been a while since I've done one of these, but it should work. Now the idea is to collapse everything around it. And pull it down at the same time. Like right here. Now basically just stomp it. Kick it up a notch or two. Let's get the other torch oxygen concentrator going too. There we go. Just a nice flame going on now. I'm going to pull it off into a... You'll see it in a second as it comes to a head here. Now I'm going to start really collapsing it into itself. Oh yeah, here we go. And this is where everybody wanted to see me string them along, right? So we're going to do that. When you want a piece of Pyrex handy, you think you could find it, right? And now we're going into making it into the stringer. And I will show this on camera after the fact. But right now, you really can't see exactly what I've done until you pull it off into a nice long strand. Now I'll thin it off a little bit more. And we have dichro stringer. I admit I didn't pull it off thin and straight and even like I should have, but it did the trick. And with that, I'm going to call it quits for the evening. And again, you will see this on video real quick after the fact and show you even the buttonhole and the blow hoses. And what else did I do? Oh, that'll do. Anyway, thanks for watching. And as always, enjoy your day. And carpe vitro. You're welcome, Paula. Paula says thank you. Again, enjoy your day.